The defeat at Stalingrad in the beginning of 1943 forces German High Command to begin pulling back its Army Group A from the North Caucasus region. The 1st Panzer Army pulls back to Rostov, and the 17th Army retreats into the Kuban area. The 17th Army sets up strong defensive positions known as the Kuban Blue Line. The 17th Army's position is only threatened by the Soviet beachhead at Malaya Zemlya to the south of Novorossiysk. On April 17th, German High Command begins Operation Neptune, an assault on Soviet Marines with the help of strong artillery and airstrikes. In spite of this, the Soviets defend their positions successfully, giving little ground. From April 18th through the 20th, the Germans continue the assault, trying to flank the Soviets to the north. German He-111 bombers, Ju-87 Stuka dive bombers flying from airfields in Crimea, along with their fighter escorts, enter the battle. On April 20th, Soviet air regiments arrived from Stavka reserves and joined the fray, significantly bolstering the Soviet air forces in the Kuban region. A huge air battle begins above the beachhead that will continue for many days. The increased Soviet air presence dooms Operation Neptune to failure. The Soviet 56th Army is ordered to continue their advance westward and break through the German Blue Line. On April 29th, Soviet forces move on the Krimskaya area and try to encircle it. Armored units on the ground and Sturmovix in the air lead the attack. German forces fight fiercely to hold the line. They bombard the Soviet attackers with artillery and airstrikes. Stukas and HS-129s try to knock out Soviet armor. German air superiority begins to wane in the Kuban. Many new Lend-Lease Soviet fighters are now in theater and enter the battle. American-built P-39 Airacobras and British-produced Spitfires are seen in the skies over the Kuban. Aerial clashes erupt in the sky, resulting in the second major air battle of the Kuban front. Soviet pilots start to even the score with their German counterparts. The days of Barbarossa are long gone. Soviet pilots employ improved tactics and better aircraft of all types, improving their kill ratio. Liberating Krimskaya comes at a cost, though. Soviet command orders a switch to a defensive posture until the end of May because of heavy losses and depleted reserves. The Battle of Kuban will continue for several more bloody months. The Soviet North Caucasus Front HQ attempts to breach the German defense line once again, ordering the 56th and 37th Armies to launch an offensive in the areas of Kievskoye and Moldovanskoye on May 26th. The Soviet armies failed to make good progress. Constant German counterattacks and massed Luftwaffe bomber strikes leave the Soviet forces hard-pressed and short of victory. Even though the war is taking its toll on men and machine, the Luftwaffe is still capable of putting large formations of bombers in the skies over Kuban. Many He-111s, Ju-88s, and Stukas rain bombs down on Soviet troops and tanks. The Soviet Air Force responds in force. The increasing air battle above the Kuban battlefield will rage for several more days. In spite of huge losses and incredible exertion, the new tactics and command structure of the Soviet fighter forces are beginning to show results. The names of newly distinguished fighter aces resonate through the entirety of the USSR. Pilots like Pokrishkin, Rekalov, Fadeyev, and Glinka start to turn the tide of the air war. After the failure of two Soviet offensives that took place in May and at the end of June, the situation on the Kuban front stabilizes until autumn and a lull in ground operations begins. Attention now turns northward, where the Soviet and German armies are locked in the largest mechanized battle in military history. The Battle of the Kursk salient has begun in the central sector of the Eastern Front. Unlike the relatively calm situation on the ground, the air battle above the Kuban front does not cease in the summer heat. There are daily clashes in the air, and naval forces of both sides attempt to interdict each other's sea routes in an attempt to disrupt supplies and reinforcements. Combat aircraft search for targets of opportunity at sea and in the rear of the enemy. In August, North Caucasus Front Headquarters receives an order from Stavka to prepare for the Novorossiysk Taman operation. Its goal is to destroy the German 17th Army and deny it the ability to retreat to Crimea. The final round of the Kuban campaign, one that will last for several months, draws closer. The defeat in the summer campaign and the fast-moving advance of the Soviet armies westward puts pressure on the German army in the Caucasus region and threatens to cut them off. This forces German High Command to start the 17th Army's evacuation of the Kuban region and into Crimea on September 6th. Soviet forces begin their Novorossiysk Taman operation 3 days later. After 6 days of fierce fighting, Soviet 18th Army units enter Novorossiysk, which has been finally abandoned by the enemy. Amphibious landings combined with ground assaults lead the way. The Soviets push the attack, and German forces withdraw from one defense line to another. Their rear guard holds the Soviets back just long enough to facilitate the retreat without heavy losses. The Soviets try to outflank the Germans and make landings up the coast to try and leapfrog their enemy and cut off their retreat. However, the Soviets failed to stop them, and a full encirclement of the 17th Army on the Taman Peninsula is denied. Having managed to retreat without heavy losses, the German 17th Army completes their evacuation on October 9th. Even though the Germans avoided complete destruction in the Kuban, the Taman Peninsula is now liberated, forcing the Wehrmacht out of the South Caucasus region for good. The evacuation of German forces from the Taman Peninsula marked the end of the Battle of Kuban. Because the Wehrmacht retreated to Crimea, the battle is a Soviet victory. However, the failure of Soviet forces to quickly breach the German defenses for several months had consequences. The German 17th Army in Kuban suffered manageable losses, and its evacuation saved it from complete destruction. Their escape delayed the decisive battle for Crimea until spring 1944. Nevertheless, the valuable experience gained by the Soviet Air Force during the spring fighting in the Kuban region allowed it to help repel the German onslaught in the Battle of Kursk. Valuable lessons learned in the Kuban, along with new tactics and better aircraft, would help the Red Air Force to be more effective in future Soviet offensives. The air battle over Kuban was a harsh but necessary school for Soviet pilots that allowed the VVS to achieve air superiority and eventual victory over the Luftwaffe. The air war continues on with no end in sight. Many more brave men will perish in the skies of Eastern Europe.